It is much safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Machiavelli wrote those words over 500 years ago, and yet they cut straight into the heart of modern relationships, modern business, and modern power. Why? Because human nature hasn't changed. The faces change, the tools change, but the psychology of dominance and respect is timeless. Think about it. In today's world, we are told to be endlessly giving, endlessly accommodating, endlessly available in love, in friendships, in careers. We're told that kindness, patience, and compromise will win people over. But Machiavelli would have laughed at this delusion. He knew, just as clearly as you can feel it now, that too much giving makes you disposable. What people value is not what flows freely, but what can be lost. Here's the bitter truth. People respect what they fear to lose. They respect what they cannot control. And that is why the man, or the leader, or the friend who can walk away with dignity, with calm, without a single backward glance, commands more respect than the one who clings, begs, or pleads. Let's start with relationships. Every man has either lived or witnessed the tragedy of the clinger. The one who over-texts, who over-apologizes, who over-explains. He thinks love is about never letting go. But what happens? His partner doesn't admire him. She tolerates him until she despises him. Because deep down, people, especially women, do not respect desperation. They exploit it. They may smile while doing it, but inside, they know they own him. Machiavelli's wisdom cuts differently. Men are more inclined to submit to those who impose themselves than to those who ask. Translate this. The one who imposes standards, who calmly sets boundaries, who withdraws when disrespected, that is the one who wins respect, even if it comes wrapped in fear. This is not just about romance. Look at politics. Leaders who cling to popularity, who beg for approval, who bend at every criticism. They get devoured. Their concessions only fuel contempt. History shows us again and again, the rulers who survive are not the ones who loved their people the most, but the ones who taught their people where the line could never be crossed. But let's pause here and ask you, in your own life, are you the one who imposes? Or the one who asks? Do people see you as someone they fear to lose or as someone they can manipulate at will? Leave your answer in the comments, because honesty here might just save you years of wasted time. Now, let's make it more uncomfortable. Why do women, and by extension people in general, respect the one who walks away? Because walking away creates scarcity. Scarcity breeds value. The moment you remove yourself, you become a loss, and loss cuts deeper into memory than any gift, any promise, or any moment of joy. Machiavelli knew this well when he wrote, "Men sooner forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony." People don't forget what you take away. They don't forget absence. Think of your own life. Think of the person you still remember, not because of what they gave you, but because of how suddenly they left. That ghost still lingers. That scar still stings. That is power. The tragedy of weak men is that they confuse loyalty with self-destruction. They think staying, enduring, and tolerating will buy them respect. But as Machiavelli warned, goodness without boundaries is naivety. If you cannot enforce your dignity, you are not good, you are weak, and weakness is always punished. When you walk away, you send the cold, undeniable signal. My life does not orbit yours. My value does not depend on you. I will not kneel. And in that moment, you terrify them, because nothing is more terrifying than a person who is free. Now let me throw a challenge at you. Ask yourself honestly, who in your life believes you cannot leave? Who believes they can disrespect you without consequence? And then ask yourself the harder question, what would change if you walked away? That thought is uncomfortable, but it's also liberating. And it's the very essence of Machiavellian strength. Machiavelli once wrote, The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. That single sentence dismantles the illusion that loyalty at all costs is a virtue. Too many men remain shackled to promises that no longer serve them. They stay because they once said, forever. They endure disrespect, neglect, even humiliation because they fear being seen as disloyal. But loyalty to disrespect is not honor, it is slavery. This is why Machiavelli advised rulers to break promises when keeping them would cause harm. He understood that circumstances change and the wise adapt. Weak men chain themselves to the past. Strong men rule the present. And in love, as in politics, only the strong are respected. When you walk away, you enforce one clean strike. Machiavelli described this as, injuries should be done all at once, so that being tasted less, they offend less. Staying in a toxic situation is like dying by 1,000 cuts. Small humiliations, small disrespects, until your soul rots. Walking away is ripping off the bandage. It is decisive. It is final. It delivers the wound in one blow, and that wound leaves an unforgettable mark on the mind of the other person. Let's step outside of romance for a moment. Look at the corporate world. How many employees beg for respect by overworking, staying late, saying yes to everything? They think sacrifice will buy them recognition. But managers rarely promote the most loyal doormat. They promote the one who knows how to say no. The one who signals, I am not afraid to walk if I am undervalued. Because that person cannot be controlled. That person is rare, and rarity is power. Think about leaders. Winston Churchill was not loved by everyone in his time, but he was respected because he refused to bend to Hitler's advances when others begged for peace at any cost. That decisiveness, that ability to say no and mean it, is the same principle Machiavelli taught. Walking away from compromise, from weakness, from illusions, is often the only path to survival. Now, let's turn back to relationships. When you refuse to tolerate disrespect, you create a paradox. Women and people in general resent your strength, but they admire it more than weakness. They may curse you in the moment, but secretly they are drawn to the one who enforces boundaries. This is why Machiavelli observed, a man who wishes to profess goodness at all times will come to ruin among so many who are not good. You are not respected for being endlessly kind. You are respected for being unshakable. Ask yourself, how many times have you stayed when you should have walked? How many times have you tolerated something that cut your dignity because you feared loss more than you feared weakness? Every time you chose comfort over clarity, you trained others to disrespect you. Every time you begged instead of walked, you taught them that you would remain no matter what. And when people believe you cannot leave, they stop valuing you. Machiavelli knew this when he wrote, "One change always leaves a dovetail into which another will fit." Compromise once, and it opens the door for more compromise. Bend once, and you will bend again. That first crack grows into collapse. Walking away prevents the dovetail. It slams the door shut on disrespect. It sends the signal that you are unshakable, unmovable, untouchable. And that signal is far louder than 1,000 speeches about your worth. Let me give you a modern analogy. Imagine you're negotiating a business deal. Two partners sit across from the table. One says, "I will do whatever it takes to keep this partnership alive." The other says, "These are my terms. If they are not met, I walk." Which one commands more respect? The answer is obvious. The willingness to leave always strengthens your position. Always. And yet, most men carry this delusion, that if they give more, they will earn respect. That if they bend enough, eventually someone will recognize their sacrifice. But Machiavelli taught the opposite. One who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. If you tolerate disrespect, you are deceiving yourself into thinking it will stop. It will not. It will grow, because you train them to know you will never leave. Walking away flips the entire script. Suddenly, you are no longer the beggar. You are the sovereign. Instead of proving you'll stay no matter what, you prove you'll leave the moment your standards are ignored. That terrifies people. That makes them recalibrate. That forces them to see you not as someone who can be manipulated, but as someone who must be respected. Let's make this real. Imagine a partner who insults you in front of friends. Most men argue, plead, or ignore it. But the Machiavellian man? He leaves, calmly, silently, without drama. He signals, if you cross that line, you lose me. Do you think she forgets that? Never. The absence, the silence, the sudden vacuum is louder than any argument could ever be. Walking away is not weakness. It is principle. It is the embodiment of Machiavelli's law. He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. And command is not in words. It is in action. Respect is not begged for. It is enforced by consequence. So I'll ask you this. Who in your life needs to see your back more than your face? Who needs to learn the cost of crossing your boundaries? Comment below, because that answer may be the key to regaining your power. Machiavelli warned, "He who builds on the people builds on the mud." His meaning was clear. If your foundation rests on others' approval, it will collapse the moment their mood shifts. Translate this into modern life. If your self-worth depends on her validation, his recognition, or society's applause, you are building on mud. And when that mud shifts, you sink. But when you walk away, you declare that your foundation is built on stone, on your own principles, on your own discipline, on your own self-respect. That cannot be shaken because it does not rest on anyone else's opinion. Let's apply this to love. Most men negotiate endlessly. If I do this for her, maybe she'll respect me. If I give more, maybe she'll love me. But compromise, as Machiavelli observed, is the death of authority. Respect is never earned by pleading. It is earned by clarity. It is earned by consequences. When you walk away, you stop begging for scraps, and you start commanding recognition. Now, look at history. The great leaders who commanded loyalty were not the ones who asked politely for it. They were the ones who enforced it through principle and presence. Think of Julius Caesar, loved by some, hated by others, but respected by all. Why? Because he never begged for allegiance. He demanded it. And if it was denied, he crushed opposition or cut ties swiftly. He understood Machiavelli's law centuries before Machiavelli himself was born. To be respected, you must show that betrayal has consequences. This truth is brutal in relationships too. If she disrespects you once and you tolerate it, you train her to repeat it. If she disrespects you twice and you excuse it, you train her to escalate. But when you walk away at the first strike, you engrave yourself into her psychology. You become unforgettable, not because you stayed, but because you left. Machiavelli also noted, "The wise man does at once what the fool does at last." Weak men wait years before leaving disrespect. They endure betrayal after betrayal until bitterness poisons their soul. But the wise man walks away the moment he sees the pattern. He does not wait for destruction. He prevents it. And that prevention is what earns both respect from others and respect from himself. Let's step into the modern battlefield of dating. Today, women are surrounded by endless validation. Texts, likes, comments, attention, all free. Most men throw themselves into the fire for nothing. They give their time, their money, their energy in the hope that generosity will buy them love. But what does Machiavelli teach? Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. In a world where giving is abundant, taking a stand is rare, and rarity is value. The man who walks away is rare. He is not another desperate notification on her phone. He is not another man competing for her smile. He is the one she cannot predict, the one she cannot control, and because he is rare, he becomes valuable. Ask yourself, do you want to be remembered as the man who gave everything and was forgotten in a week, or the man who left and haunted her for years? Harsh question, but Machiavelli's philosophy is harsh because reality is harsh. The world does not reward sacrifice without strength. It rewards strategy, and strategy demands that you combine both the lion and the fox. As Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must imitate the fox and the lion, for the lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves." In relationships, the lion is your refusal to beg, your raw strength, your backbone. The fox is your strategy, the ability to walk away when staying would destroy your dignity. Combine them, and you become untouchable, too strong to be trapped, too clever to be broken. Now let's broaden the scope. This isn't just about romance. Think about your career. The worker who clings to every job out of fear of unemployment is never promoted. The entrepreneur who clings to a failing business out of fear of letting go is never free. But the man who can walk away, who knows when to cut ties, when to pivot, when to burn the bridge, that man commands the game, because he is not trapped, and freedom terrifies those who are. Remember this: fear of loss governs behavior more than desire for gain. People may love you, admire you, even praise you, but it is the fear of losing you that cements respect. When you walk away, you plant that fear deeply. They realize you are not bound by charm, beauty, money, or comfort. You are free, and freedom is magnetic. Here's the paradox. She may hate you for walking away, but beneath the anger lies admiration. She may rage against you, but beneath the rage burns respect, because you showed what most men never dare to show, that you value your dignity over her approval. So let me challenge you directly. Comment below with this answer. What would happen in your life if you acted like the fox and the lion combined? What trap would you escape? What disrespect would you cut off instantly? Answer honestly, because that reflection is the start of your transformation. Machiavelli observed, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, but few can feel." What does this mean for you? That people don't respect your intentions, your promises, or your hidden sacrifices. They respect what they can see, and nothing is more visible than the man who walks away with calm indifference. Think about it. She doesn't see your years of loyalty. She sees you begging after she disrespected you. She doesn't see your countless sacrifices. She sees you tolerating her games without consequence. She doesn't see your love. She sees your weakness. And weakness, in the eyes of human nature, is never respected. But when you walk away, she sees your strength in one undeniable gesture. That one moment overshadows everything else. It redefines you in her mind. She may hate it, she may fight it, but she will respect it. This is why Machiavelli argued, it is much safer to be feared than loved, when one of the two must be lacking. Love can vanish in an instant, but fear of your absence, fear of losing your presence, fear of crossing your boundaries, that remains. It anchors respect even when affection fades. Let's make this concrete. Imagine a company leader. He bends at every employee complaint. He fears being disliked. What happens? Morale collapses. People exploit his weakness. But imagine another leader. He listens, but when lines are crossed, he enforces consequences without hesitation. He fires the manipulator. He cuts the cancer before it spreads. Do the employees love him? Not all. But do they respect him? Absolutely. And respect sustains power longer than affection ever could. The same applies to personal life. In friendships, in families, in relationships, the one who enforces boundaries commands respect. The one who endlessly forgives without consequence loses it. Now here's the uncomfortable part. Most men confuse respect with affection. They think, if she kisses me, she respects me. If she compliments me, she respects me. Wrong. Respect is not affection. Respect is rooted in recognition of strength. It's not what she says in her sweetness. It's how she behaves when she's angry. Does she fear losing you enough to control herself? Or does she unleash every disrespect because she knows you'll never leave? That's where respect lives. Machiavelli warned, hatred is acquired as much by good works as by evil ones. You can give endlessly, you can pour out your heart, and still you may be despised. Why? Because your love carried no strength? Because your presence carried no consequence? But walk away, and though they may hate the loss, they respect the strength behind it. Let's extend this into politics again. Think of leaders who compromised endlessly with enemies. They thought appeasement would buy peace. But what did it buy? Contempt. Look at Neville Chamberlain, who gave away land to Hitler in hopes of securing safety. Was he respected for his concessions? Number. He was despised as weak. Contrast that with Churchill, who walked away from negotiation when others begged for it. He was called ruthless, cold, harsh, and yet history respects him. The principle is timeless. Weakness buys temporary comfort. Strength secures lasting respect. Walking away is also justice. Machiavelli wrote, "Men should be either caressed or crushed, because they can avenge themselves of lighter injuries. Of more serious ones, they cannot." Translate this into modern terms. Do not wound someone with half measures. Do not nag, plead, or give endless second chances. If someone betrays your standard, deliver the clean strike. Walk away completely. That act of decisiveness is unforgettable. That is justice. That is power. And let's be clear, walking away is not cruelty. It is not a tantrum. It is not a trick. It is principle. It is clarity. It is the unspoken law. Disrespect me and you lose me. That law is not argued. It is enforced. And because it is enforced, it commands respect. Consider reputation. Machiavelli emphasized that a prince must guard himself from being despised and hated. Modern translation, your self-image, your dignity, your presence, that is your reputation. When you walk away from disrespect, you guard it. When you stay in weakness, you destroy it. She may cry when you leave, she may rage, but she will not despise you. She despises the man who begged. She despises the man who knelt. But the man who leaves, even in her fury, she respects him. Here lies the paradox. The man who sacrifices endlessly is quickly forgotten. The man who leaves decisively is immortalized in memory. He becomes the ghost she cannot exorcise, the standard against which she measures every man after him. And that scar is more powerful than 1,000 smiles you gave while staying. So let's turn this into a challenge. Who in your life despises you precisely because you've given too much? Who has grown comfortable disrespecting you because you've trained them to expect endless forgiveness? Be ruthless with yourself. Name them. And then ask, what would change if I walked away today? Walking away is the rebirth of your power. It is the clean strike that transforms your identity. And in that transformation, you stop living as someone else's subject and start living as your own sovereign. Leave a comment right now. Would you rather be loved without respect or feared with respect? Think hard, because Machiavelli already gave us the answer centuries ago. Machiavelli wrote, "It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles." What does this mean for you? That respect is not given by labels, promises, or positions. It is taken by the strength of your actions. Walking away is not about women or business or politics alone. It is about ruling yourself. It is the act of honoring your own value before expecting anyone else to. Look closely at your relationships. If you tolerate constant disrespect, what does it say about you? It says you dishonor yourself. You announce to the world that you are willing to be diminished, mocked, or ignored. And when you project weakness, the world responds with contempt. But when you walk away, when you cut ties with what poisons your dignity, you announce something far more powerful, that you cannot be corrupted, that your throne cannot be shaken. Machiavelli warned, "He who becomes a master of a city accustomed to freedom and does not destroy it may expect to be destroyed by it." Translate this: if you allow someone accustomed to manipulating, disrespecting, or controlling you to keep their freedom to do so, they will eventually destroy you. The only way to survive is to destroy their power over you. How? By walking away, by severing the chain, by refusing to be ruled. And here's where it gets darker. Most men who stay are not staying out of love. They are staying out of fear. Fear of loneliness. Fear of starting over. Fear of being judged. But fear chains you tighter than any woman, any boss, any so-called friend ever could. Walking away is not just a rejection of them, it is a rejection of fear itself. It is the moment you declare, "I would rather face the unknown alone than remain trapped in weakness." And that declaration terrifies others because it reveals your true freedom. Freedom is magnetic. Why? Because so few possess it. The majority of men are slaves to approval, slaves to beauty, slaves to validation, slaves to comfort. But the man who walks away is untouchable. He cannot be bribed with flattery. He cannot be broken with threats. He cannot be manipulated with guilt. He is beyond reach, and in that untouchability lies power. Machiavelli insisted, the first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. Apply this to your life. If the people closest to you disrespect you, if they manipulate you, if they treat you like you are replaceable, it is not just their fault. It is a reflection of your own intelligence. Because you chose to stay. Because you allowed yourself to be surrounded by weakness. Walking away is the correction. It is the moment you clean the court of your life, replacing parasites with respect. Here's the deeper truth. Walking away disciplines your soul. It forces you to confront the hardest skill of all, letting go. Most men cannot do it. They cling to what is killing them because the pain of loss feels greater than the pain of disrespect. But Machiavelli reminded us, the wise man does at once what the fool does at last. Why wait until you are drained, bitter, broken? Why wait until years of disrespect corrode you? Walk away now, and you prove to yourself that you are wise. And here's the cruel irony. The man who stays and gives everything is quickly forgotten. But the man who leaves with dignity is immortalized. He becomes the ghost in her mind, the shadow in the workplace, the standard in the friend group. He is remembered not for his gifts, but for his absence, not for his promises, but for his boundaries. And that memory burns deeper than love ever could. So let's tie it all together. Walking away is not cruelty. It is not bitterness. It is clarity. It is strategy. It is the declaration that you are not a slave to anyone's approval. It is Machiavelli's philosophy made flesh. He who seeks to deceive will always find someone who allows himself to be deceived. By staying where respect is dead, you are deceiving yourself. By walking away, you break the illusion. You reclaim your sovereignty. Ask yourself this final question. What chains are you still wearing? Whose approval are you still begging for? Whose disrespect are you still tolerating? And now, imagine the power of cutting that chain today. Imagine the fear in their eyes when they realize you are gone. Imagine the respect that follows, even if it comes with resentment. That is the Machiavellian strike. That is how rulers move. And now, I'll speak to you directly. If these words cut you, if they woke something inside you, don't just sit in silence. Act. Hit the like button right now, because it tells the world you still value strength. Comment below, not just for yourself, But because your words may be the spark, another man needs to walk away from weakness. And subscribe to Ruthless Psychology, because this is not just a channel. It is a brotherhood, a community of those who dare to see the world as it truly is, not as we wish it to be. Here, we honor Machiavelli. Here, we turn philosophy into power. Here, we walk away from weakness and into strength. Remember this final truth. It is not what you hold on to that defines your power. It is what you can walk away from without fear. And when you master that, you are no longer just a man. You are untouchable. You are free. You are feared. And above all, you are respected.